Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Helm to Tower podcast. We have to reset the bad news number scale episode in succession. We've already broken the one streak of somewhat fun episodes discussion, and we're back for more. No, we have a couple fun things, I guess.
We'll have fun things.
Funnish things to talk about alongside.
We got to front load the bad news.
Yes, yeah, with because it's another week here. Yeah, for Destiny 2 news. Back, I am Mike Burgess. Hello, and I am with Auri O'Neill.
Hello.
So we're back again to talk more Destiny 2. It's been another week. We had the second week of the season pop off. Did you play much this week at all?
I did.
Okay.
I'm happy to report I played too much this week, actually. We'll talk about it. Excellent.
Yeah, because I played a decent-ish amount this week as well. Probably not as much as you, though, but I definitely did play. Yesterday I played a whole lot of Iron Banner, so I guess let's talk about that. Talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
But before that, there's some not the best news, but it's still Destiny news, worthy news, Bungie news, more so because we have an IGN article from Rebecca Valentine, a fantastic reporter, from IGN there, and she has basically a follow up from the Bungie layoffs and everything that went down with that stuff. She basically has a follow up article. Kind of going about it was basically just a kind of like a vibe check of like, hey, this shit happened and it was fucked. What's it like now? Like a couple weeks later, it turns out still fucked.
2 thumbs down. Actually, it's bad. Surprise.
Yeah, and so there's some stuff in there we should probably talk about a bit. We'll probably just get into it because we'll talk about.
Yeah, let's start here and then we can have fun later.
Yeah, let's get into it now and then we can talk about the story stuff and all the stuff that happened in the second week. But yeah, here is the article. Bungie devs say atmosphere is soul crushing amid layoffs, cuts, and fear of total Sony takeover. Again, from Rebecca Valentine over IGN. Let's see. 1 month after a major round of layoffs impacted roughly 100 Bungie employees of 1,200, those remaining at the Destiny developers say the cuts, as well as other cost-cutting measures, came alongside an apparent scramble by studio leadership to avoid a total Sony takeover. So that's definitely, I think, the big thing of this, and I think
it's the thing people have been pulling quote-wise from this.
Yeah,
that
right.
I feel like on some level is kind of missing the point.
Right.
And I that has not vibed with me, I'll be honest, but I do understand like the kind of, it is like the eye grabbing story of like total Sony takeover, which we really don't have. I mean, like from like a corporate takeover type of stance, we have an idea of what that can mean, but we don't really know like what that means in the context of Bungie right now. What would happen if that were to happen? But we know that the vibe is like, obviously Bungie's been staunchly independent for so long. They went so far as like, we're going to let go of Halo because we don't want to be owned by Microsoft, right? Like it was such a big deal when that happened. And, we got Reach and this kind of big goodbye to that franchise. And obviously that franchise has gone on to be very mixed and have a lot of baggage of its own right. And 343 kind of always has had to live in the shadow of Bungie, which sucks in its own right. But like that era of Bungie compared to where Bungie is at now is pretty staunchly different. And it feels like, and we'll get into it in this article, like the reason for that is like kind of greed. That's like the kind of
corporate greed absolutely is it. And I definitely agree with you. I think like people are definitely getting into that weird discourse of like, well, maybe if Sony takes over, it would be a good thing. And it's like, we don't really know that.
We don't really
know that. Like if you have issues with the game now with like stuff like microtransactions and all kinds of other stuff, they could Sony could totally push that stuff even harder potentially, or things like, you know, Destiny has not been a subscription based game for better or worse. This could be the pushing point for, like, if a Sony takeover happens, they could push that into that game. You know, again, it's like more just, these could be good or bad things. We just don't really know. And so to sit there and just kind of have that be the takeaway, was definitely a little weird and usual internet like discourse.
Yeah, usual, like, also like us versus them, like the whole Sony, Microsoft, all that stuff. You know, it always sits poorly, I think, like, with you and me. And it's like, all right, the other parts of this that we're about to talk about, of like people being depressed and all these, like, the benefits that you like stay at a job for, like, are all going away. It's like, oh man, I can't imagine how it feels right now.
And I'll skip to this part in the article here, because it says, besides the layoff of 100 employees, there's also other cost cutting at Bungie that wasn't just limited to personnel. She goes on to say, multiple current employees confirmed to IGN that the company has implemented numerous other cost cutting measures recently, including a studio-wide hiring freeze, reduced travel budgets, elimination of holiday bonuses, keeping its annual Bungie Day virtual, delaying its week-long company pentathlon event to next December, and reducing numerous morale events such as cooking and knitting classes from monthly to quarterly. Bungie is also pausing or fully ending benefits like annual employee compensation adjustments to meet market rates, and its new hire lunch program, employee donation matching, its peer recognition program, and gift cards for employee birthdays. A yearly studio performance bonus this year will only be contractually obligated 80% minimum, after being above 100% for goal performance several previous years running. So yeah, like, overall, like, it's a lot of different, like, a lot of, like, just like general events to, like, have morale and, like, bring teams together, or, like, kind of gone. Like, that stuff is rough. But, like, obviously people straight up just lost their jobs too. And then, you know, and then also, like, a lot of people that are left, like, straight up just got a lot of their like bonuses and things they would get payouts for throughout the year, like, cut completely. So that's definitely a thing that could kill a lot of morale and excitement and stuff.
It's these little things that, like, a company's, like, going out of its way to do for you that make it, like, less miserable to be under the thumb of a corporate overlord, right? Like, just, you know, and to be fair, there's, like, plenty of arguments about capitalism and stuff that we can get into here, but we don't have to, but, like, of how kind of manipulative this is. But it's still, like, these are beneficial, nice things that you give to your employees as, like, extra, just, you know, because we appreciate you. And it's like, no, we're getting rid of all that. Like, what message are you sending to your team? All the while, you know, the like, we all have to weather the storm, like, all that bullshit management speak. That's certainly happening right now. That's
absolutely still happening, like it did with that first layoff. There's even more of that in this article that we'll get to as well. This is just like, ugh, God, this is gross. Hearing this. And it's just, it's typical corporate, like, greed or corporate, you know, selfishness, right? Like, and it's protecting themselves and benefits them.
Like, I'm sure Pete Parsons, like, doesn't have to give up his, like, annual bonus at all, right? Like, absolutely not. You know, in my real life, outside of the video game world that we're in, I have, like, my day job. A lot of people have been talking about compensation, and that phrase, it's, you know, kind of paraphrased or worded differently here, like, to meet market rates is said in the article, but that phrase of, like, you're being paid competitively, fucking hate it. Absolutely bullshit.
It's complete bullshit that whenever that is said, you're paid competitively. It's like, set by awful standards. It just sucks. So let's see where I'm going to jump here. So again, along with all that, and the layoffs has resulted in a massive decay in morale within the company, according to IGN sources, one of whom told us that the mood within the studio has been soul crushing over the last month, and it doesn't sound like management is making any significant effort towards improving the atmosphere either, according to those still with the company. Employee frustration and sadness in the days and weeks following the layoffs was met with a surprising amount of indifference or even outright flippancy or hostility from management. Excuse me. Several people we spoke to told us that leaders had reiterated across multiple meetings that they couldn't guarantee there wouldn't be more layoffs, with two specifically confirming previous employee, the chief people officer, Harley Barbakovi, outright stating that layoffs were a lever the company would pull again.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty gross. Pretty awful.
Just the worst.
The chief people officer, as it were, telling people, "Oh yeah, you're
referring to layoffs as a lever,
as a lever," and like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to tell you that you might get laid off. More people might get off anyway." We're not. Don't talk about this anymore. That's like very much a management level thing. That's just like they are just not even going to address this.
We should focus on what our next project is.
Yeah.
What's our next due date? It's like, oh my god, you are so heartless.
Yeah, it sucks.
Just know if you are like at Bungie, one of the folks working, like we are with you. We absolutely. Yeah. I know it doesn't mean for much, but like this sucks and it's not your fault and it is. Yeah, you shouldn't feel guilty.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah, this is none of it's your fault. Like we're not really our frustrated. I think it should be clear by now to a lot of, hopefully it's clear at least to a lot of people like that in position at Bungie, that like a lot of the frustration in the community and like from ourselves and like the larger community of Destiny are more like they're frustrated at these aspects and like just general capitalism and corporate mismanagement and how terrible these systems and frameworks have been for so many years, and now everybody's a part of it and we've all been a part of it, and it's just it sucks all around. But
just to make it clear, when we complain about the coil, right? I don't want you to lose your job. That's not what that is about.
Yeah. But again, if you want another shitty one, there was a post QA session where a department head was asked if leadership taking salary cuts to prevent layoffs has been considered. Only respond that Bungie was not that type of company. So the
worst thing you could possibly say.
It's really, really, really shitty.
Oh, we don't actually give a shit about our employees. That's basically like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we're getting our money, so who cares about what you guys have? So yeah. But yeah, some of some other like initiatives in Bungie that were affected because of the people that were laid off. And now they're laid in limbo. That's like the next part here, where there's pride at Bungie, women at Bungie, accessibility at Bungie. These were all different like initiatives inside Bungie. Like they're so like most of it from like an outward facing thing, where like, hey, like these are like those little fun pins you can go buy in the store and you get emblems and stuff in the game. And like they've definitely probably done other stuff, I'm sure, than that, but that's probably like the most thing out there people see. But a lot of the people related to those roles were part of those layoffs, so it could just seem like those initiatives are just kind of gone. And like it's another thing where like people were asking about these, and like management was just like meh, and like they just kind of didn't really say much. So that was another kind of shitty thing here in the article. Let me kind of scroll through here.
They also like went and deleted public news articles from like years ago about some of those initiatives, which just sucks.
Yeah. So but yeah, I think here's like another big point where like they talked about a lot of QA stuff, and like now like a lot of things are be outsourced in more ways. So it says, another anxiety source discussed with us was that many of the reductions made at Bungie recently were part of a broader move toward outsourcing. Multiple divisions across departments told us they heard discussions within their teams of plans to increase outsourcing both before and in the wake of the layoffs. One team was the quality assurance team, so the QA team. While outsourcing QA is extremely common practice in the industry wide, Bungie historically had also enlisted an army of in-house embedded QA testers working within individual teams. It's a setup the studio had prided itself in for years now. That's definitely something I feel like has always come up. There's like a lot of the QA teams, like I guess, worked in specific roles within like the teams, because we know like Bungie has a lot of like specific teams where it's like, here's the weapons team, or now they have like the Crucible Strike team, and they usually put like groups together who are like really passionate about certain aspects and let them kind of focus on those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like, QA was also involved in those, but now that they're going to be outsourcing, it seems like it could affect that stuff a lot. And just like a lot of the miserable kind of lame general sentiment where like people, there are definitely talks of like, leaders are like leadership referring to QAs as non-developers in some cases. Again, like I feel like that's unfortunately very common in some parts of the gaming industry, and I think that super sucks because like those are the people that are like
the grunt work.
That is the grunt work. That is like usually the most people-facing people in your companies are usually within those groups. Mm-hmm. So like seeing that. And just those people getting like getting treated the absolute worst from like both sides always just sucks.
Yeah,
it's super like undeserved.
The people that already have some of the toughest work and the shittiest job, right? Like, of course, now let's just disrespect them, of course. And like to me, this on top of everything just reiterates how like out of touch with the actual community the management is, right? Because like. Yeah. One of those sentiments that's like a joke in the community, even though obviously it's not true. And they talk about how QA is like such a big part of the weapons team. Every team does a little QA with their internal QA team of like, do they even play test lists? Like that dumb Destiny player mentality, which is stupid, obviously, but like, it's like a joke in the community at this point, and they literally are gutting the QA team. It's like, you are making yourself look so much worse to a community that's already very upset with you because of a lot of these decisions in general.
Yeah, it really sucks. I thought there was another quote in here that maybe I missed somewhere that was talking about like, there was still a sentiment from some upper management that was just like, people still like us, but we just need to get them to like us again, and like they just kind of felt that way, and then like there's people in here being like, we're not actually listening to the community, and like this is the problem, and like we're not listening, and this is why we're losing everybody, and like
I got the quote here.
Okay, cool.
It's a quote from an unnamed developer. I'm angry. I'm upset. This isn't what I came here to do. One person said, feels like many higher ups are listening to the data and are like, we just need to win our fans back. They still like us. No, they don't. We got rid of some of our most knowledgeable, beloved folks who have been here for 20 plus years. Every day I walk in afraid that I or my friends are next. No one is safe. What a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
Like that's
terrifying.
Yeah, it's such an out of touch comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like data tells you only so much, because like this is, we're talking about like, I understand that there is also like much larger circle of people in games that just play games. They don't like read these blogs every week. They don't like interact on social media or do whatever, that are probably playing this game, and like, they might even not even know the freaking layoffs happened and are just playing and doing whatever. But at the same time, like I get that's like and like there might be more of those than the people that really care about this game. But like, there's still, I think, a large section of the community that does do that does listen, that does watch like content creators, does watch, hangs out and Destiny streams like all day, all week. There's people who like listen to like content like this, listen to us ramble about bullshit,
I'd argue that like Destiny in particular has way more of that, because obviously twabs and twids and all that like is a rapport that they built with their community, right? They took that first step, but also like on top of that, world's first race, right? Like even if you are not aware of like, or you just run a raid once with your friends and like do it and that's it, like you're probably aware on some level of like the Twitch stream World's First Race, which brings in the belt, which brings in Bungie developers talking to the big pillars of the community. And like I think folks like Datto, like we talked about last episode, like have way more influence in this community because it's way more intimate. And it's one of the reasons why we started this show and why we like the game so much. And I think more and more people get into that part of Destiny because, you know, same is true of like something like Final Fantasy 14 with like the patch notes and the developer updates and the streams that those guys do, right? Like they built this rapport. They're pretending like it doesn't exist. Like we're blind to this reality that people in there are miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's just like, I get there, like, I think some of it there is valid criticism of like, sometimes these communities can be sort of echo chambers and they kind of like, you know, they get really into nitty gritty issues that like in the grand scheme of things are that, but like, that doesn't mean you shouldn't like take these things to importance. And, you know, the credit where credit's due. And like, I think it's something we saw this past week. From the Destiny 2 Twitter is like they are being way more communicative. They are being like way more quicker to like reset feedback. Like, you know, that this is a lot of stuff that was in the TWAB this week was like, hey, you know, we heard you didn't like the focusing changes. We're reverting some of that in a patch that's going to drop, I think, the day this podcast comes out. Hey, you didn't like the Iron Banner game mode that started out, which was Tribute. So we switched it to Control later in the week, and it'll be Control, and then Tribute might come back later, and we'll make changes to it. I think they brought back Fireteam Finder because it was pretty positive received from the beta. I actually haven't even touched it myself, but it seems like people are positive on that, so they just brought it back, and now it's in. And like it seems like they're at least like trying to move faster and like be more receptive to these things. So at least like they're starting out. They're starting it, and I just hope it continues. I get it, like, and it's like it sucks that it like took all of this stuff that we've been talking about for multiple episodes to like clearly make this happen and start moving the needle. But I'm glad it is at least happening. And I just hope it's, you know, it's not something we're just talking about. I'm talking about right now. And in like 2 or 3 weeks, it's like, oh, they're just kind of gone again. And like, what are we doing? Like, I hope they can kind of keep this up a little bit, even if it's just like, hey, we see this feedback in a tweet. We're not gonna be able to have an update like this week, but we know it and it's coming in and it's in the coming weeks or something like that. Just like be like ready to like even make those kind of announcements to us as like things progress. So we'll have to see.
I don't know if you had the feeling, but I definitely had the feeling of the Destiny 2 team's Twitter, especially like the Iron Banner stuff of just, and again, it's just me in my head because of situationally what it's like right now of this like, please keep playing our game. Like we're desperate for you to keep playing our game. And like we're over communicating, we're changing things right now because we just need you because we don't want to lose our jobs. Like that is like the worst. It's the worst. Yeah, it's like this terrible subtext to what is objectively great communication from Bungie, which they're generally, you know, obviously there have been things that have been terrible in the past, but like they're usually so good about stuff, especially like the year of Lightfall. There have been so many good reach outs and posts and things like that about different aspects of the game, but it just like having that in the back of my head just kind of gave it this depressing undertone. It really hurt.
It's still hard to I really don't know if they can get that back. That's like definitely a curiosity, right? Of like now there is this undertone. There's always going to be some kind of undertone because like they've shown like the corporate greed and management level has like shown their whole ass on the internet, or their whole ass has been exposed, and you know. It's hard to tell if like, you know, exactly. It is hard to tell like if this communication clearly happened because they're trying to move, but it could have just be like, please, or could it be like them being like them forcing to like, hey, talk, or like I'm you know, glass half full, half whatever. I'm at least going to try and be like moderately positive until proven otherwise, which could totally happen. That this is just that like I'm hoping somebody finally something broke upper management and they just kind of went, fine, you guys just do what you need to do, and we're gonna kind of we'll step back a little bit and let you guys figure it out, and or if you have things like start pushing that stuff, or like do these more communicative things, or these quick turnarounds for things you don't like. I'm okay with that, as long as it's not going to be like a small thing that we just see this week and then nothing else changes in the coming weeks, or other changes don't happen. We'll just have to see. Yep. But yeah. Still clearly the wound is still pretty fresh from all of this layoff stuff. It's only it was not that long ago that it actually happened. It's only been like a month or so. Yeah. So like this can't imagine it, like a lot has changed and the morale has changed, and it's hard to know if when it'll start picking back up. But still holding out. We're still here. Again, we've both been playing a decent amount this week. And
I love this season.
Had a generally good time. Yeah, so far. Same. I've had a generally pretty good time in the season so far. A lot. Dungeon's great, content's great. So
a lot of the loot's really good too.
So we'll just have to keep. I'm sure this will not be the last time. Unfortunately, we talk about something like this.
We're gonna keep
in the coming
talking
weeks.
About it. But that doesn't mean we're not going to try and stay positive to some extent.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, we're going to talk about stuff that's going on in Destiny. And that's what we can do now. Thank you, Rebecca, for continuing that report.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the very empathetic reporting as well. I just appreciate her approach a lot. And
agreed.
Oofa-doofa.
Agreed. Always good to know, what the people are thinking. But yeah. We had a TWAB this week, which I can gloss through pretty quick, because I already talked about a little bit of what was in there, which was just the upcoming changes which happened this week, but also coming this week, which was a big update. Which this is like one of those moments where it's like, oh right, I like some part of my brain is just forgetting that it's December for some reason.
Yeah, I am kind of same, dude.
Yeah, it's just like, oh right, it's fucking December. My birthday's in like 3 or 4 days. I keep forgetting that.
It snowed today.
It's snowed today where we are. That was super weird. Just looking at my car outside and be like, what the fuck? There's
I had
snow on the ground. What the fuck?
Oh my god, it's real now, I guess.
Yeah.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, it'll be. With this reset, which will probably be the day this episode goes live, the dawning is going to start in Destiny 2. So you're able to bake those cookies. They kind of previewed a lot of it in this TWAB that came out this past week. It sounds like the dawning. Like, I don't think they really did much. From what I kind of skimmed through it, it did not seem like there are new things going on. It seems like it is just, you're baking cookies. There's going to be snowballs again in the strike playlists and stuff. And all that stuff. There will be also a memento with the dawning, like the Festival of the Lost. This one actually I like because it's like an icy effect that gets put on the guns. It looks really cool.
I like this mementos as part of the holiday events is cool. I think that's good.
I agree.
Thank God they finally made more.
Yeah, seriously. And I admittedly did not care as much for the all black one from the holidays, from the Halloween one, but I do like this kind of icy, frozen looking one.
That's cool. I love it.
Yeah. So I think it looks cool, and I think it's animated and everything, which is neat. So I will probably at least get that. I do kind of hope that they do like increase maybe the amount of mementos we can hold still, so we don't just always have the one.
Like 3 would even be better,
Yeah, totally. Just like a couple, like 3, 5, like just something like that is fine. But then, of course, we got to represent new glaives coming in. You stoked for this glaive? It's called the what is it called? Albedo Wing.
Albedo Wing. It's an arc glaive, right? Let's just everyone take a minute. It is an arc glaive. All right, I would be right there with y'all if it was a stasis glaive. Don't. But I just want to make sure everybody knows. I am hyped for it. It's aggressive frame glaive, which my favorite glaive, Judgment of Kel'Grath, is the only other one. So
yeah, and it straight up just looks like Judgment of Kel'Grath, which was the solar one from a few seasons ago.
Got like an icy wing on it, which is really cool.
Looks cool.
I'm hyped. It's got the beacon rounds, which is on the rocket pistol. which like basically gives the projectiles tracking on kill, which is really sick.
It has cold steel on it too, which is a stasis perk, but it doesn't. It is an arc weapon because I'm looking. They have some of the damage weapon perks. And it has deconstruct, attrition orbs, cold steel, beacon rounds.
Cold steel's hype.
So yeah, even though it's not a stasis glaive, it has a stasis perk on it. Maybe that's how they get around it, because maybe for some reason they seem like they don't want to do stasis or strand glaives, but maybe they can just put
something about that kinetic slot or whatever.
Yeah, so maybe that's how they're going to get around it. They just go, fuck it, let's just put these perks on them, because they did that too with, like, I think I mentioned in the previous episode, where there's an arc wave frame grenade launcher, which is the Nightfall weapon that has the new slice strand perk on it.
Although I looked at that weapon and looked at the perk listings and didn't see slice on there, but it is, if you preview the weapon in game,
in collections. Yeah.
So I'm worried that might not end up being on there.
Could just be like a bug. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the same thing with the glaive, and it says cold steel in like the preview, but it doesn't have it on like the list of perks. So I don't know. Maybe there's just like a column that's getting cut off in Light GG, but
or maybe it's like they haven't updated the weapons yet because they're not in yet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but either way, you got like demo, you got Aegis, which like gives you ammo on shield damage that you take. You got Lead from Gold, which is always great. You got Close to Melee, always great. Clown cartridge, which is really fun.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a ton of great stuff, and also a Golden Tricorn, which with the projectile buff, hopefully will do pretty good damage. It is Arc, which is a bummer. It seemed like the perfect time,
finally.
Merry Christmas to me.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Use your strand glaive. Not yet.
Not yet. We can dream, but not yet. But I will be.
Maybe Final Shape. We'll get there.
I love the Dawning. I love giving everybody cookies. It's my favorite. It's just the best. And I like it because it's different, right? There's no like Dawning activity that I have to fucking lose my mind in.
Yeah. Play this like 800 times. It's like, oh God, okay, fine.
I just play everything else that I was already going to play, and then I get cookies and ingredients, and it's great. And
farm that bright dust.
And I get a ton of bright dust.
Yeah, because I will say I actually really do like the armor this year. Yeah, because like I say that like the armor kind of has always, there's been good and bad ones over the years, but they've all looked kind of samey. Where this one looks like a newer set. Like this looks like a different from previous years. It has like all these kind of like, it's kind of going for that bird kind of aesthetic where it has like bird feathers everywhere, but it's all kind of like wintry at the same time. I like the sets. Like the Warlock one is really rad. The Titan one is really cool too. I like the Titan one.
Helmet is so high.
Yeah, the Titan looks really cool.
I love the Hunter hood as well. It's very cool.
It's all really good sets. I will probably finally dip into a bunch of the bright dust I've hoarded.
40,000 bright dust.
I'm pretty sure I'm still up there with that. So I will probably finally get a couple of those this season. And dip into that. One thing I also am curious about, because previous years when giving out cookies, you'd have to do the Last Wish raid to give Riven cookies. So I'm curious how that works this year, because now there's spirits in the tower. So I wonder if you can just go to the tower and do it, or if they like changed it, or maybe they're gonna like. It'd be kind of fun if they like mixed it up and made it like a different raid boss. Where it's like, give Nezarec cookies or something like that.
Oh, I would love giving Rolt cookies.
Yeah,
please,
it'd be fun. Some kick you in the face, and that's like you giving him cookies or something. Like
so funny. I would adore that.
That would be fun. But we'll just have to see. Again, this will be pretty much live when you're probably
when you're listening. And what's it? Cold Front and the Stasis Pulse that I can't remember.
All that stuff will be back.
All the Dawning weapons will be back. So that Stay Frosty, that's the name of the pulse rifle. That's a great pulse rifle if you do not have it.
It's pretty decent. But yeah,
I've been using the Augma again. I broke out my Augma.
Yeah.
Which I've got the Wellspring demo roll on it, because we talked last week about how demo doesn't necessarily feel as great. And that gun still rips, just by the way. And that the Stay Frosty is a very similar feeling pulse rifle, so highly recommend.
Yeah, it is a pretty good one. So I wonder if those will have. They might have updated perks too, so that could be interesting. But yeah, other than that, in the TWAB, they had all the little Bungie stuff you could buy, like the real world stuff you could get with rewards. But here's like the other Wish launch updates. I'm gonna go through this section real quick because some of the stuff we already went over, but let's I'll skip through some of that. So again, they brought up the blind well. People were, I think we talked about it a little bit last week, but was not looking forward to doing the blind well on the first week. But it reiterated that's like, yep, we'll see it again in 6 weeks for a seasonal challenge. There'll be some seasonal challenges with blind well. That's it.
Straight up though, that seasonal challenge for blind well, the first week one, fuck that challenge. Takes way too fucking long.
Yep.
I'm 65% of it. I had to have done 7, 8, 9 maybe heroic blind wells. I fucking hate that. I hate it. Should be done on like 5 at most.
Yeah.
At most.
Yeah. And one thing I really don't like is they've gone back on like having some of these stuff be retroactive, like seasonal challenges. Like I feel like they've done a lot less of that as like they've progressed in seasons, and I don't like that. So I hope they stop doing, like, just make them retroactive, because that are already doing this crap to begin with a bunch, and like it sucks kind of having to do a lot more of it than we would have to do.
I'm being farmed for playtime, and it feels like it,
Yeah, that makes it much more apparent. So let's see. PvP updates. Control will be available as selectable mode. We'll checkmate control is active. We'll be tuning checkmate time to kill. Blah blah blah. Rocket sidearm will give more opportunity to counteract barrier champions with the seasonal artifact. That's true. I'd be curious to try that. Stuff.
We'll talk about the exotic from the dungeon, which is also a rocket sidearm. Fucking rips for barrier stuff.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
cool.
Great for it.
Cool. That'll be fun. We have a fix for a bug allowing players to vault from activity without proper UI or full fire team support. Due to positive reception, though, they're going to make it into a fully featured thing in a January update. So I think what was happening was people were in a fire team and just out in the world and stuff in orbit, and they could vault or something.
Yeah.
Vault from an activity. So
that's great.
They were able to bring up some form of their vault outside of that. But since people liked it, they said in a January update, they'll just make that a proper thing where I guess if you're in an activity, you could awesome. Change that.
The vault from orbit is great. I know it's I just like not having to fucking open up the app every time I want to do something. I still have to do it to get bounties, but this makes it take much less time.
Yeah, it is. It is nice, sure, for sure, with a quick little thing. My setup is specific that I can just have a tab of dim open on my computer here.
Sure.
So I don't do it as much, but it is still a nice quality thing for a lot of folks.
I redid all my loadouts, and that just made it way easier to do.
Nice. So another thing that they are adjusting, and I honestly kind of hope they adjust more again, is the orb cooldown changes. We've been monitoring feedback on the orb cooldown creation cooldowns and have a change going in with our next update. So I'm assuming that is the update that'll again be today. Currently targeted, for next week. Equipping of multiple copies of armor mods, heavy-handed, firepower, and Reaper now increases their orb creation cooldown. I think it was
it's a 10-second cooldown.
I think it's 10 second with 1, and then it goes down to 8 or 5 with 2. And then it's and I think it's only 1 or 2 seconds if you have all 3 on. But let's be real, no one is ever doing that. And
don't ever put 3 Reaper mods on, please.
Don't put 3 Reaper mods on. This. I think I see what they're trying to do. I just I could get with this maybe if they reduced those cooldowns into themselves, make having 2 mods be 2 or 3 seconds, and I think that would be okay. Find a middle ground, because I think there's still because I think doing this really makes it so you're funneling build crafting in a way that does not feel good, because then it feels like you're forcing players into having mid-maxing these single mods rather than being able to have multiples. And I will say even with the changes that came up, I've generally been okay. And a lot of the activities we've done, granted, I've not done like the highest of high tier stuff. Like I think the most difficult stuff we've done is the dungeon runs, and I felt pretty capable in those. But I think like, I definitely can still feel it in some scenarios. And again, I talked about it last week of just like, I feel like there are some builds right now in the game that are just like so far and ahead of other ones now because of this orb change that like makes all of these other ones drag behind even further and make me like less interested to play those certain builds. And like now I'm only playing Solar Hunter because Solar Hunter just feels crazy good right now. And then granted, that's also because of like, seasonal mods, but just, I literally have free ability spam because of the abilities the Hunter has built into its own kit with its like fragments and aspects already. So I can just do that. It's like Strand Titan still feels incredibly good because they already have multiple melee charges. And I can do things like have Armamentarium on and just give me 2 grapples, and I can still just fly around and melee around like crazy and get Banner of War. Like it still just feels just as strong as it almost was, basically. But then like Solar Warlock I looked at as like that was like I already had like the sun braces on for grenade spam anyway. So like that was already like really good already. But now it just like feels weird because now it's just like it takes a little bit longer to set that up because the whole setup is like I have to like do like a charged melee on an enemy to get that grenade spam going. So like just having that like slows that down, which I guess is like not the end of the world, but just like a lot of the other stuff like just does not feel as potent on some of those classes where like I liked the loop I had on my Arc Titan because I could do things like melee like do like a big charge melee, and I get that back because of similarly like the Hunter one from doing like those. I think it's from the exotic I believe I have on. And that creates orbs, and those orbs recharge my other abilities, which I can then use if I need to. Like if I lose my melee, I can use those to kind of charge that back up a little faster. And now that's just like not really as much of an option. So just I think it's just made a disparity. So I think like while I'm glad they are making an adjustment, I think they should just I don't think they will go all the way and just like cut it and maybe like rethink how they can reapproach this stuff, or I would say maybe another avenue they could go is like make the orbs, if there's gonna be less on the ground, make them feel more impactful, of like let them like give you more of certain things, like more super or more things when you get one, but just have like way less available at all times. So that way when you pick one up, you're like getting like way more of a impact rather than, there being like 20 of them. And because there's 20 of them everywhere, that means I can just like run through them all and get everything back. So I don't know how they go about it, but
yeah, it's tough. Like I'm thinking about Ahamkara claws, the Warlock, right? They added heavy handed to that. I think that's what the melee one is called. And now they've kind of like, to buff it, right? And now they've kind of like inherently nerfed it in a weird way. So yeah. It's another one of those like awkward changes. I will say like maybe unpopular opinion here, and I apologize to the Devour stands out there. I do think the Devour changes feel more better. Like they make more sense for difficulty reasons, right? Like I don't know if you've messed with Devour.
Not yet, no.
But like if you have like non-feed the void Devour, it basically gives you like cure ×2 on pickup and it's very comparable to that feeling on Solar, but it feels like its own thing because you're getting it on kill and whatnot. So right. I like the parity there because it helps me like have an adjusted playstyle for both void and Solar that's like kind of in a similar realm as far as like risk versus reward.
Right.
I know it's not as strong or as potent, but playing it, I've been doing a lot of Void in the Coil this week, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Okay. So I think they did a good job nerfing it. Like I think they were moderate in a way that still makes it feel pretty good to use.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I haven't tried it much Void Warlock yet this season, so I might bust it out and see how it feels.
Can I make a build reco just for you and the folks out here? It's something because it's something I always forget to use. But I've been breaking out Verity's Brow a lot this season, and that's like you get kills with your subclass energy, and you get death throws, and that makes your next grenade do stacking more damage,
right?
And then kills with that grenade make your weapons do more damage and help your grenade cooldown and your allies around you temporarily. The death throw ×3 grenade on Void is fucking powerful, especially in something like the coil. I've been doing, classic like domineering, I think, is your grenades weaken enemies, but it like those goddamn wyverns that are so annoying in the like the 2 Vex encounters. A fully charged Void grenade will rip through them if you've got it buffed. So highly recommend. Give it a shot if you have not used Verity's Brow in a little while. It is really, really strong, and I'm happy to report.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to mess around with Void a little bit more this season. I just have not really yet because of the solar and strand mods. But I'm always a Nezarec Voidlock.
I like Nezarec as well.
But I'll have to. I did do Briars last season, and I liked that a lot. But that was another one that was reminded me of just like that feels a little bit less potent because of the longer cooldowns on things, and like that wasn't like that crazy to begin with in like previous season. Like I thought it was just sort of fun. So like I think that's one that like you kind of lose a little bit as well from that. But I'll have to try out. Yeah, Verity's Brow is always one I think of for like grenade stuff. I know like it was really popular with Stasis for a while. But I haven't busted it out. But I'll have to try busting out my Nezarec Voidlock soon. But yeah, that's like some of the quick little updates. And again, that came from like they just kind of tweeted these out from on the Bungie Destiny 2 tweet team account, which I think was like good just to have them like quickly addressing feedback and things like that. That's like I think that's the right move for them. Yep. And I just hope we see more of it and they keep doing it.
Don't think about the subtext, everyone. Just avoid that. Avoid those intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, hope it's all positive. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. That confused me because I was like scrolling down. I like briefly just saw the known issues. And the first one just said, there's a champion present in the Vanguard Ops version of PsyOps Battleground Cosmodrome. It just took me a second. I was just like, wait, shouldn't there be... Oh, you're talking about the normal playlist.
That's really funny. I wonder what... It's probably like a barrier champion just haunting that place. That's so upsetting. Imagine you're playing like the regular Strike playlist and you think you fucked up. Like, oh no!
It's messed up. But yeah, that's largely it for that kind of stuff. Updates from the blogs and things like that, but yeah, the week now I think we can talk about like what we played. I know we swapped around when we usually talk about certain things, but that's fine. We did. Week 2 happened. Story stuff I think happened. I admittedly played some of it on Tuesday. It was pretty minor from what I can recall. It just seemed like it was another go in there and get an egg for Riven, and then I think like the beats I remember are like you talk to Osiris for a little bit and he's concocting like a contingency plan in case Riven doesn't hold up her bargain, and like he's talking about just like, oh yeah, your ghost can connect. You forgot about Lightfall probably like most people, but remember your ghost talked to the Traveler, or the Witness did it through him and all that stuff. So it seemed like maybe that's gonna be a thing. And I remember from the trailer there was like some scenes from like the Garden, from like the Garden of Salvation raid, Black Garden. So I'm curious like if like that will like come into the story more, like looking through that stuff and looking into the Vex and all that. It seems like that'll come at some point during the season, but I'm curious like what that is all about, or maybe that's tied to the exotic quest we might get. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, like they kind of set it up like, oh, we're going to be getting Riven's eggs for the first few weeks. But I appreciate like in this, like really the only thing that happened in the story is like, hey, like if we keep doing this week to week, it's just not going to fucking work. So we got to figure out some kind of plan to get them all at the same time. So we're going to start working on that. which I like. I like that them kind of playing with the idea of convention. Of course, we don't get to see any of that this week.
Yeah, they're like, but still show up, and you're gonna go get an egg next week, probably.
Yeah, we just did a lost sector, but a mission that was pretty cool. It was just a run of the coil and stuff with good, or not the coil, Riven Slayer with good dialogue and stuff. But I like the idea of like, okay, we're gonna go somewhere different. Probably week 4 or so into the season. And that it sounds like is going to be tied into the exotic quest, which is cool.
Nice.
This reminding me a lot of Season of the Seraph, at least how the narrative and everything is working, which is a good thing because I think that
was a good season. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, not eventful story wise. I do want to bring it up because I'm here. I'm reporting on the story. Your story report with Ari here. Just because our Discord group, like our Destiny group, was talking about today, lack of love and sex and wonderful things like that in Destiny. I need everybody to go find that fucking sparrow on your season pass and read the lore tab on it. You guys need to catch up. You need to be reading these lore tabs. I don't know how many times I'm gonna keep saying this.
You're probably gonna keep saying because I don't think anyone's still gonna go read it.
I know, but if you are like looking for love in Destiny. Especially like last season had some like there's like a devastatingly amazing scene between Osiris and Saint that was very, very good. But I know people want Erisborn to find love out there, and I'm happy to report I've got good news for you. Just go find that sparrow in your season pass and take a look at that lore tab. You will not be disappointed.
So yeah, go check it out. If you want to hear about that stuff, that's fun. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's always some good stuff in those people, and I'm sure people forget about it, or it's like tangential stuff that's like cool but interesting, but never like that. I think they've done a little bit less of like having those finally be like the actual story, and had like and are kind of front facing a lot of the story stuff, at least to some extent.
I will say like just the vibe of the story, and this is usually true for me, but like I think the Sloane stuff from Season of the Deep was like not underwhelming or disappointing, but it's like I don't think they hit the levels of engagement of like we're bringing back this character from OGD2, and I just don't think they utilized her well. I think they did some cool stuff with like the PTSD, but this season, kind of coming off of last of like Eris and her journey has been so great. Crow coming into his own, acknowledging who he was and being who he is, like all this stuff, especially him and Petra this season, I just really love. It's so cool to think of Destiny as like a game where the characters have come so far. He was the villain of one of the best expansions the game had. Now he's fighting alongside us. We've seen him grow. They're obviously setting him up to be the Hunter Vanguard. I assume we're going to get that right of the passing of the torch, as we've talked about it from the final shape, which I'm gonna cry, y'all. Look forward to that on our day one stream.
Yeah, that's I'm kind of feeling that too. I kind of think that's going to be a moment.
I think that they've built to it really well, and they continue to in this season, and like Crow and Mara having like a kind of tenuous friendship again is really cool. Especially after Season Defiance and stuff earlier this year. Yeah. It's really cool to see storytelling and we're in the final season and just appreciate, since Season of the Hunt, the kind of, which was like the beginning of seasonal storytelling as we experience it now. All the stuff they've done, all the cool stuff, making Savathun a character, making Mara more of a character, making Crow, his whole story has started then. So it's just the vibe on that narrative level is so so cool.
Yeah, it is really great. It'd just be really nice again if there was some way more people could experience that in the video game, game Destiny 2, in some meaningful capacity.
The timeline stuff is better.
Yeah, the timeline stuff. The timeline stuff
as bad as it used to be.
The timeline stuff is better, and like hopefully that's maybe what this again like the Into the Light stuff they brought up briefly. We really have no idea what that is overall, but like at least seems like might be some better on ramping to some of this stuff, and I think that would be good. Especially if that does end up being the case, and it seems like it is from the season, like you mentioned, like having this be like the season kind of being a more build up for Crow, and then us having like him having a bigger moment in the final shape potentially with Cade being there and him being involved. So we'll have to see, but that is hopefully exciting. We'll just have to again see where it leads in 6 months. But yeah, other than that, this week I did play. I did at least one dungeon run.
We did
this
not.
Week.
We talked a big game about playing together. And
We
slept
did.
all of Tuesday.
Yeah, we did. But I did run. I did do one run with my clan though. At some point during the week, which was just like an alright time. Still a good dungeon. I still want to run more because I didn't really get many other times to run it this week. You did. I
got my one run in. So stoked. I ran with our friend Kay.
Hell yeah.
And it was their first time running it, which was very fun. And we, because I think this dungeon is so great for many reasons, but one of them being its kind of approachability. It is the most fun to figure out because it's relatively straightforward, gives a lot of good hints in the environment and the like design of things. So this was one where they like normally they're like, just tell me what to do. They were like, I was like, hey, try it. And they're like, okay, I want to try and then see if I can figure it out. So like they figured out the first encounter. We let them mess around and then she eventually got the jail. And it was good. Like, giving her hints of like, okay, try this and see what happens. And then tell me what to do. But yeah, she really liked it. She thought it was super fun. And it wasn't like too miserable like difficulty wise for them as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we definitely talked about it in the last episode a little bit, but like if it has a better, the whole dungeon I think is better paced than a lot of the other dungeons, and just like the difficulty scaling is not as bad as the other ones, and it also feels better from like a more like of the higher level, like trying to master it level of like, especially that final encounter I think is just fun. As you like, once we figured out,
you get better at it.
Once you get better, and we figured out, like, oh yeah, this whole like extra like sort of not really bonus, but like final phase, and like seeing that stuff and learning how that works, and then like also then going and seeing like really cool strategies about it, where it's like, oh yeah, if you tether it with a hunter tether, it technically tethers all of the things, the eyes on it, so you can just shoot the boss, and that like sends the damage to those, so it just constantly breaks them and lets you do like even more damage with that. You can also use sunshot, and if you sunshot one of them, it just pops them all on that one side.
That's what Nicole was doing when we were playing.
So it's really
super fun,
super cool things like that.
Galley also great for that, and Wolfpack rounds in general,
just popping all those,
just like taking care of things, and that gets you like a little extra time per damage phase for killing the eyes as well.
Nice,
But yeah, I got the exotic, which I was so
heck yeah. About. So it is a rocket pistol as well, right?
It is a rocket pistol. I mean, it's like it is effectively one, like the RPM and or rate of fire and stuff like is that
cool.
But it's basically it's got the built-in beacon round, so it's built-in tracking.
Cool.
It's a 2-shot. So it's kind of like Wishender, where it does 2 points of damage as the one hit.
Right.
And the tracking's not like super strong because it shoots really, really fast. So, but like it is, it's really fun in PvP, I'll say. And it is like a 2-tap on the headshot if you want to get a kill in PvP, which is tricky because you have to kind of compensate for the tracking, and it's like a spinning bullet with the 2 crossbows, right? It's pretty small, but it's like 2 spinning little crossbow bullets.
Cool.
But if you haven't seen the exotics, it's like a little crossbow.
Yeah, it looks like a crossbow. Yeah.
Super fun. I was like, all right, well, this thing grants Devour on multi-kill. It seems like it's 4 red bars to proc it. I wanted to try it out, so I was like, I'm gonna build a little void build. You got the void mod or the void bonus that you can buy in the coil right now for this week, every other day, I think. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take something into the coil. The thing that I really loved about it, just using it just as like a multi-kill proc devour and then switch to something else. Really cool because like I was running stasis at one point. I was getting devour. I was like, okay, I can see how this could be a little busted, but really fun. Or solar and stuff. It's very wild what you can do. But the hobgoblins in that activity in particular, it will one-shot them, and the best thing is anti-barrier sidearm means you just blast those dudes. Absolutely no healing time for them.
Hell yeah.
It feels great. It's great to kill miners. It's got a good pool of ammo, so it doesn't feel wasteful to be using a special weapon for that. Just like Forerunner, if you've used Forerunner, it's got like comparable amount of bullets to that, like 63. So yeah, I don't. Have you gotten the exotic drop yet?
No, not yet.
I made sure I got all the bones on this run, so I could get the plus.
I'm pretty close on the bones as well. So I still want to do all that stuff. Hopefully I can do it soon to figure it out. Maybe get a run in this week. But yeah, other than that, I think we said both of us played a lot of Iron Banner.
Yeah. Did you do all the challenges?
I didn't. Are you talking about the weekly ones for the
18
thing?
matches? Did you get your reps in?
I did. I did all that. I reset my rank by the end.
I'm close. I should,
but that's pretty much where I stopped. And I'm assuming both the reason we're probably doing that is because they put like a crap ton of new armor, or new. It's a bunch of returning, very old Destiny 1 or Destiny 2 year 1 like armor that they released very briefly and then just disappeared. But it's two.
Straight up like just letting you get ornaments too, which is really nice.
Yeah. It's like those two ornament sets. Yeah, which were like sets from Destiny 2 year 1. That I think they were just like super rare drops in Iron Banner that you just have to like hopefully get to drop. And then there was like another year. There's another set that is just like an actual random drop that is like a new set, or returning set. From those that like I never got any of those. So I have like basically 3 armor sets to get on all of my characters. So I ended up playing a bunch. I actually did play a decent amount. I think it was like the day after Iron Banner came out, or the week started. And that was like I did play a little bit of that tribute mode. That was briefly in the playlist. I kind of get why people weren't into it, but I also did not mind it. I did not mind it as much because again, I think it is always that thing where whatever it is about Destiny, people just don't like doing objective game modes in some capacity. So like, and that's kind of what it largely was, because you're literally you have to get kills, and then people drop the little engrams, and then you pick them up, and you have to take them back to these things to deposit them. And if you get shot when you have them, it drops them all in enemy teams, or teammates can pick them up. So
and it's like there's a fortress part of it where like Cabal turrets will drop a special bank during a point and close all the other banks. And if you kill the turrets and deposit into the special bank, your points will be worth more. It's like that's the hunt equivalent, which I think is kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
Definitely like leaves room for somebody to just kind of drop a well on that, and then suddenly the other team can't hope to deposit
do anything about it
or whatever. But then again, you could just stay away, so you're not dropping crests and nobody's depositing. So again, I similarly like they brought Supremacy back. I think when Lightfall came out, which has not been in rotation for a while, and that's like the original crest based mode. And to Bungie's credit, they said like it maybe was not fully out of the oven yet, and it did kind of feel a little bit like that, of like the crests are like bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the placement of the deposit points was as well thought as maybe it could have been. So there was like some wonkiness to it that I understand. I didn't think it was terrible, but to your point, like people just never deposit, right?
Yeah, that definitely was like the core thing I noticed playing it. Like I definitely didn't feel. The thing I noticed was like it felt like the two places were like switching way too fast. Because it always felt like so it was hard to like track where they were at all times. So, like that was That was kind of my issue a little bit, at least when I played some matches. But that was like the main actual thing, though. What was that, like, yeah, it just seemed like no one really wanted to play the objective. So it just, people were just shooting each other, and I literally had matches where I just saw piles of these things sitting on the ground. Just no one's going for it. No one on my team, no one on the other team is going for it. They're just not doing anything. It wasn't like people were just like, it wasn't like a thing where like the enemy team were like waiting for other people to like grab them. They just were sitting, like I could just see times where they're just like out in the open, and they're just like, dude, there's like 5 of these just here. Just like go up, I'm just gonna go up and grab them and go deposit them. Like it's not that hard.
It's not that hard. Like right next to the bank too. It's like, guys, please.
Yeah, it's like, come on, like
it is like versus supremacy, right? The whole thing with that is like you are picking up enemy crests that you kill, but you're also picking up ally crests to deny the kill. This doesn't have the ally crest aspect to it. So like if someone dies, they drop all the crests that they were holding, and you can get them to like take them to the bank. So like someone can drop like 7 or whatever, which is very funny to see though. So like that to me was not as clear until I had played a couple of rounds.
Right.
And I do kind of like the denial aspect of crests before I could see, because you have to bank it here, like how that wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to see some more tweaks with just how to get crests, and like maybe having somebody be able to drop like 7 is fucked up and not how it should work. I don't know. Maybe there's like a hard cap it at 5 or something.
Right.
Or make it like Gambit where it's like 15.
Yeah.
or something
get
like
crazy.
That.
Why not? But yeah, it seemed fine, but at some point, they just were like, yeah, we hear the feedback, we're pulling it for now, and might come back later, and they put the regular control back, and that ended up just because of timing. This was like my Sunday was spent literally playing nothing but Iron Banner. That was like my entire Sunday basically.
I stayed up late last night, like watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I've been watching on the side.
Nice.
Almost done. I'm on episode 52 of 64, so I'm pretty close. And for the first time, and also playing Iron Banner until 2 a.m. last night, and I was like, well, I have an appointment at 11, so I should go to bed.
I should probably go to bed. Yeah, nice. Yeah,
I finished my challenges.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wasn't up that late, but I did play through. I pretty much played all day, and then I was watching the Giant Bomb Game of the Year stuff from this year, because I had not watched all that yet. But yeah, I reset my rank. I pretty much got all of the Titan armor. I think I need to finish off one of the ornament sets. And then I kind of grabbed like a couple pieces that I knew I really wanted on like the Warlock and Hunter. So I pretty much have the pieces of those armor sets that I want on each character for sure to start using and messing around with. But I definitely will probably still maybe not the next week of Iron Banner is, which I don't know. I guess it's later in December, but like maybe the one after that. At some point, I will jump back into Iron Banner and get the rest of it. But we'll see whenever I feel like doing that.
To their credit, like they big improvement. I know I didn't play Iron Banner all last season, so maybe it was better then too. But big improvement on engram drops for Iron Banner specifically. You get 2 at a time a lot now. You get plenty more for just completing matches versus having to wait for every upgrade. And also I've been like getting the bone armor that they added halfway through the season last season. Because, again, I did not play any of the ritual playlists at all last season. I will say, like, didn't do strikes, didn't do Gambit, didn't do Crucible. I'm a better woman for it, I'll say. More free than I've ever been. Of course I suffered through it, but I think I finally got the whole like bone armor set, which is a really cool set. So like it was nice to feel like I was getting a ton of loot from doing that.
Same.
And like that with Coil giving like such great rewards and stuff. Like I just need one more of the fusion rifle before I can craft it, because I've been able to like get that. I got the fusion chest. I'm like, yes. And then you get a red border from that usually, and it's like, yes. So yeah, I feeling good about the loot delivery in Destiny right now, which is great. That's a great place to be.
Yeah, they definitely improved a lot for sure. I definitely noticed that too. Like, it felt faster to rank up, and it felt like I was getting more engrams from the Iron Banner drops itself. So that was nice. I like that a lot. I will say one thing though, which was weird and clearly maybe a little bit of an oversight, is when you reset the Iron Banner rank, the reward track still has legendary shards on it as like rewards you can get. It's just like, well, okay, guess I'll take these 50 legendary shards.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird, but
that's weird.
But yeah,
they're going away forever soon. But I have 13,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what the hell am I using these? I thought there was going to be like a leftover, like you could get like alloys or shards from Rahul, but they already changed those prices already. So it's just like, well, okay, I guess I'll just go get 8,000 raid banners for whatever reason. Like that's like the only thing you can do with those now. Like that's it. So it's like, okay, I guess I can go do that. Because I have like 13,000, or I think I came in the season with 13,000, and now I'm like accruing more because there's no real meaningful way to like kind of offload them. So I think that was like an oversight. Like I get there are people with like 3-figure shards, so you don't want to give things too much value or too much value to certain items and have the people then not care about those things later. But
give us time to bank before the end of the season.
Yeah,
though,
they should have at least like there should be something better than that. Than like, oh, I can cap off my glimmer count, I guess, or get some raid banners. Like, okay, I got all that stuff already. Like,
this is what you do.
Give me something.
Give Eva Levante just for the dawning like an extra page where she's like, yes, I'm legendary. Sure, I'll launder your legendary shards for you.
Yeah, perfect.
Like, Grandma, what are you doing?
Yeah, Grandma.
She's like, you want some enhancement module?
I'm taking these with me. Yeah, that's right.
Grandma, where are you going?
Yeah, why do you need these shards? They're leaving. She's prepping because she doesn't know how much longer this game's gonna last after the final shape. I get it. Actually,
Grandma needs to sell cookies somewhere. You know what I mean? Poor Eva.
Poor Eva indeed. But yeah, that's largely everything that went down in Destiny this past week.
Yeah, new coil stuff is good. The new mods are good. The new rooms, the new bosses. I like everything. Big thumbs. I've already gotten the title. I've already reset my rank one, which is like very different than the last 2 seasons, I'll say. Because like honest to God, like I've learned that playing coil late at night is more likely to get people that know what they're doing. So just a little pro tip: don't play in the afternoon. It hasn't been fun.
It makes sense.
And just like I'll be like, I want to play some Destiny. Get in, do one run of the coil, get a ton of stuff for it, right? Just feel very rewarded and be like, cool, like that was great. And I had so much fun and I can just log off now. And I feel like I made a lot of progress, right? Like, I just big, I know I was very high on it last week. I am still very high on it. So just wanted to make sure I keep saying the coil, excellent. Really love it.
Coil's definitely like one of the best activities they've done in quite some while.
And it seems like from me as playing, like because I get a lot of blueberries in there and they struggle and they're having a rough time, but it seems like the difficulty curves in a way that like is good enough for people to kind of get it. Yeah. And I've seen people that struggle at least get all the way to the end, you know?
Honestly, I think one of the key factors of that is there's no champions. Like that is literally the differentiator in my opinion, because it is just like people for just whatever reason just do not give a fuck about specking for champions because I guess they I get it, like to an extent, like they just want to run what they want to run and play with the weapons they like or do very specific things, and the mods can kind of challenge some of that play style. But like personally, I've never really minded that. I kind of like the puzzly aspects of playing around champions, and obviously because I'm biased because I Conqueror Gilded 10 or whatever the fuck, over here,
the true champion
over here. But I think that there's realms to play in both of that in that game, and I'm glad they are kind of approaching that of like you can have a more challenge, like a ramp up, a sort of the coil is more of a it can get challenging, but it ramps up to it, right? So like you kind of ramp up the challenge as you go, rather than like you jump in, you're immediately just getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, just
or,
one shot.
Or just you're immediately bombarded with like an unstoppable champion who's just breathing down your neck, and you're just like, oh fuck, what am I gotta prepare for this? I wasn't ready. And it's,
yeah,
I think that helps.
The mods also, like, we spoke highly on all this last week, but like so great. I think in particular, like the ones where it's like, hey, bosses do 10% less damage to you. It's like, okay, this helps curve some of the bullshit that happens in endgame Destiny a little bit, right? Where bosses do a stomp and it's like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, I'm dead.
Where it's like, that'll hurt you now, but it won't kill you at least. And it feels like you can kind of combat a little bit of that difficulty curve in a very like player choice based way. Again, the roguelike mechanics, it's Hades, it's like a little Hades run, of Destiny, and I fucking love it. But yeah, I also wanted to say, as we've talked on the last few episodes about just like unappreciated changes that have happened since Lightfall, loadouts being obviously number one. Number two is subclass verbs affecting champions is still one of the best fucking things that has ever happened in this game. It makes them so much more fun to engage with, and just like I'll have a minute where I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta bring a bow. It's like, oh fuck, I'm stasis. Like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. Yeah, fuck this.
I have a stasis turret that will freeze on stops, and I will be fine. And it's like, oh, thank God. just thank you for that.
Yeah,
good change.
Yeah, for sure. It's very nice for sure. That was a great change. But yeah, I think we talked enough about all the positive things. I am liking the coil a lot. I do want to play more. That is like, I think the good feeling is like, I do actually want to get it and play more. It's just I've also been still jumping around in other games because there's still a lot of games like we just talked about before the show, like New Game Plus for Alan Wake 2 is literally out, and I do want to play that through that again.
Expansion for Final Fantasy 16, which is really fun.
DLC for that is out. I weirdly want to try the Lego Fortnite stuff, even though I've literally never played. I barely have ever played Fortnite. The other game, again, I talked about it last week's episode, but Wayfinder, they've said that the new update is sometime this week, or they're at least going to announce a date for this week, so that's going to be like another big update to that game. They've already outlined a lot of stuff, surprisingly, how much stuff they're adding to it already. So I want to see all that, and I'm probably going to cover it here on the channel, plug. But, it's just a lot of stuff, but at the same time, like, I still, like, we talked about it. I like the coil, I like the dungeon, I want to go play more of that. I just, it's just now it's up to me to make the time to do that or find the time to do it. So that's where we're at. But yeah, luckily on the other end, there seems like we'll have plenty of time considering how many extra months we have on this season at the same time. So
yeah, for sure. And it's been fun, like writing stuff for it. I've got my dawning stuff that I'm going to be writing
about the dawnings. Check bake cookies, still the thing. Check notes. Check
notes.
Check it off.
Let me check my notes here. That's baking cookies right there. Mine is like how to get the dawning shader, which is always going to be one of the challenges. So yeah, it's fun. It's nice to like want to make time for Destiny versus like right when
the
Halloween event was happening and like all the layoffs happened like in the middle of that. I was like, boy, I do not want to make time for Destiny. It's cool, or it's not cool, but it's better for me now 2 months later to be like, okay, I want to have fun in Destiny again. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. But more fun will be had soon here. But I think we can wrap it up for this episode of the Helm to Tower podcast. Thanks everybody as always for watching here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, much appreciated, or check out on podcast services, leave us a rating. Again, always appreciated. Let us know what you think. We'll probably be back soon. We'll see what happens this week in the world of Destiny. We'll see. We'll see what kind of news we get or not news.
Do you know if the exact mission is dropping next week?
Next week, I don't know if it is this week because we're going into week 3.
Week 3,
and it's possible it could, So we'll just have to see. If it does, we'll for sure be back. Or if there's like some other bigger news update that they drop throughout the week, we'll be back. If not, then yeah, we'll probably wait a little extra, maybe like an extra week, and then come back to talk about more stuff. And but yeah, thanks everybody as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye.